Hello everyone, welcome back to another speed build. Today we are doing a garden witch home, actually inspired by an art piece that I found on DeviantArt. If I can get in contact with the artist, I'm going to see if I can have permission to throw it up in the video, but if not, I'm going to link to it. But essentially, I was in the mood for another whimsical build, and so here we are with a witch home, which maybe I'll do a series of these. I know somebody else on YouTube is also doing a witch series, but that does not mean they are the only person who is allowed to do a witch series. I am permitted. But essentially, we are starting out with the front of the house here, where I did this thing where it was like, there's a big archway, and then I try to put like a keystone on it to give it a little more detail, and then there's some stairs with another archway, and so I eventually did this thing you'll see where I took a door and then with tool I like lowered it down into the ground so it wasn't as big, but it's not usable, which is a bummer because I wanted the underside of the stairs to be kind of like a home for a little puppy dog or something, which is why you can see I'm putting a dog bed down there. So I ended up later having to get creative because I made a dog and a cat for video making purposes for this, and then the cat didn't have a place to put the litter box because I already decorated the house, and then I was trying to hide it and it didn't work, so oh well, this is how we learn. Here I'm doing a thing where I'm trying to make like a roof truss, and I spent a lot of time flipping things around with tool and moving it up and down, and then ended up not even using these pieces that you see here, but I wanted to keep it in so you could kind of see like the thought process behind it. Probably should have cut it down a little bit because it is very time consuming, and this is probably going to be the longest video I have on the channel so far because just like the cut down sped up footage is half an hour. But you know, we're here, we're soldiering on. Here I'm playing around with every kind of like pole shaped object that I can find, trying to see if they will rotate, and they will not, because they're like those objects where like you try to rotate them and they don't rotate, they just like stretch or they don't move at all, which is weird because I thought there were more fence post type pieces from Debug that would move with the tool mod, but I guess not. And then I ended up realizing that they didn't have to rotate because I had like these like curved pieces that I didn't end up using anyway. And then you can see I eventually, after I messed with this a lot and moved the things up and down, because I wanted to decide if I wanted it to be flush with the wall of the roof, and I decided against it because in the image that I was referencing, it was kind of like a roof truss that was just like there, and then it was supported on the underside by like a curved beam of wood, which I tried to replicate with a, it's those beam pieces from Cottage Living, these here. And then I rotate them. I tried rotating them in the air, and then I did the thing that I knew was better eventually where I put them on the ground. I probably should have done 3 on either side to give it more of a curve because it's more of just a diagonal. But I mean, it worked. It turned out cute. I'm still proud of it. This build as a whole turned out really well, actually. The landscaping is very lush and cool. There's like some fun tool mod placement stuff that I got to try. And overall it turned out really well. I'm probably going to run into the problem where I'm not going to know what to take screenshots of and what to not take screenshots of, because here's the thing, it's like a decent sized house, but like a lot of the room I decided was upstairs, was like a magic shop for like potions and plants, so that takes up a lot of real estate. And then so the bedroom ended up being really small, so the living quarters downstairs is like really tiny. And then I almost forgot to add a bathroom, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure. It was just a whole time, guys. But it's here. It was fun. I might actually try to find time to play with this one. But we'll see, because I've said that a lot the last couple of things I made. I was like, yeah, I'll start a save. But I don't know. For some reason, building's been scratching the itch a lot more than the actual gameplay has. Maybe there's some of you that can relate. But I just like making pretty things. So we're going in, and we did like lots of cottage living, lots of cottage stuff in general. I'm noticing I build a lot of more cottage central things on the channel, but I think it's just kind of like the vibe we all long for, because modern living sometimes is a little stressful, y'all. We just want to have a good time, and we want to be like Mr. Frog and Toad and drink tea and eat cakes and live in a little cottage among nature and the flowers. But anyway, here's the thing I'm trying to do, because they had like these like sort of Tudor looking glass windows in my reference image, and we don't have anything that was close enough shape wise, because it's like a big one with a round top. So I ended up smushing some windows together. Like you can see here, there's like a round one, and then a pointed one, and then a little rectangular one. So it's not all lattice on the inside, but it worked. And then I did a thing where I stacked some more windows on top of each other up top. And here's where I'm playing with the dormer, and then I briefly was like, do I want an actual dormer? And I like did it too. I put the window and everything, and then I was like, no, I don't like it. And I ended up just putting like the fake dormer piece back on. And moving it around a little bit. And I eventually had to do this thing where I had to like mess with the roof a little too, because it wasn't sitting quite right. And it just didn't look the way I wanted it to. And even in the end, like I put these support things like on the wall, and I still don't know if I really like their placement, because you can see they're like, it's like in the window, which doesn't make a ton of sense from like an actual building standpoint. Like you wouldn't have a support beam just going through a glass window, or leaning up a glass window for that matter, because it's glass. Surprise, surprise. But meh, I don't know. I did it. And here I did a really cool thing. Of course, it also makes this fence bizarre, where like the fence, it like almost had like an elven look to it, and so to recreate it, I used this like overgrown fence from Get Together and just put a bunch of arched doorways in them. But it basically means that like every section of fence is now a door, so Sims just walk through it, and they don't necessarily go through the gate that I ended up putting there, which is fine. Maybe it's just magic, but it is kind of funny, because when I was playtesting some stuff and filming my like video footage, the Sim was just walking through the fence to get to places. But I pretty much did like exterior first on this one, and the landscaping, which is pretty lush. There's lots of flowers. It's like a very pastel, cutesy, light, fairy-esque sort of vibe. But this is a witch, not a fairy. I mean, it could be a fairy. It can be whoever. You could have a fairy live here if you wanted to, if we had fairies. But you can make pretend ones, like I did for that thing I made a while back. And then you can see here, I put like a swing set out front, because the image I found had a swing set out in front of the house. And then I didn't care for this swing set. I actually ended up purchasing the little camper's kit, because I knew it had that cute little swing set with like the fairy lights on it and the leaves. And that's what I wanted, so I got it. But here we're going with the landscaping. Lots of romantic garden here. Those delphinium plants, I think they are, and hollyhocks and the lupin flowers. And then I ended up using the ground cover flowers from, I think, Werewolves. I tried out the one from Outdoor Retreat and didn't like it. Yeah, it's here. These are from Werewolves. And it's nice because it's like little purple flowers. I kind of leaned purple a lot in some of the flower choices, not so much with like the main landscaping flowers, but you can see later I did that thing where I like layered a bunch of bushes up onto the roof for this like overgrown look. And here I decided we're gonna have a pond, because there was a pond, and I almost used the Get Famous like koi shark piranha pond. Then I was like, it's too small, so I ended up doing this pond, doing like the sort of kidney bean shape that we all know and love. And then I took a bunch of rocks and I put, rocks around it, and I smushed them down into the ground with tool mod to layer it up a little better. And it ended up being really cute. The landscaping around the pond turned out really well. This is actually me doing it here, where it's like I just took a bunch of the lupin flowers and like lined them up, and then put the Werewolves ground cover underneath. And then I did like a thing where I sort of like changed up the colors a little bit, so they weren't all one set of color. There was just like a little bit of variety, and it worked out really well. And there's like little patches here and there of the tall delphinium flowers surrounded with like lupin flowers and hollyhocks. I have a couple of different patches of that. And then there ends up being some patches on either side of this door and the little baby door that was going to be for a pupper, but alas, it will not work. And here I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put in a real dock or a fake dock. And as you can see, I put in a fake one, so your Sims can't walk on it. I'm so sorry, but it looks nice. It's cute. It's broken anyway, honey. You don't want to walk on that. And I did a little bit of terrain paint in the pond to try to see what looked the best. And it was a hard time. I don't know. I'm still not sure if I really like the ground cover, but I can't say that this is a bad build because it's really nice when it turns out at the end. So, it's all good. We're our own worst critics. And I kept extending bits of the fence because I didn't want to surround the whole lot, but I did like how it framed certain things, so I ended up extending it here, and then I extended a little bit on the other side of the yard eventually too. But the landscaping actually came together pretty easy. It took a while, but then once I knew what I was doing, it just turned out so pretty. I don't know. It's another winner, guys. It looks pretty good. This could be very good for any of your witch farmery dreams that you may have. It is definitely not a starter home. It is very expensive. So I don't know if maybe you want to play a storyline where you build up some money to buy it, because it's over 100,000 simoleons, especially because the fence is just a lot of doorways over and over and over again. And also all of the flowers, since it's from Romantic Garden, they are not free. All of the pretty tall thin flowers, those are Romantic Garden. Those cost real money. So I tried to cover for it by using a lot of other debug landscaping for the most part, especially the bushes that I ended up covering the roof with, because otherwise Lord knows how much this place would cost. But I did the thing that I always like to do, where I set off the corners with columns. And I tried to use spandrels, but I did use spandrels, but freezes. I love that we have them, but they break your columns, or they break spandrels inside the house and make them go down a level a little bit. It's just very bizarre, and I don't understand why. Here we're putting in some stepping stones just to lead up to these two little baby doorways here. I ended up doing some more stepping stones around the back side too, because I think I do the backyard actually last, because I think it's I do this, I do the outside, I go outside, and then do the backyard. And here is where I was trying to decide what this room was going to be. I've decided this is the potion room, and then I ended up putting the brooms and stuff on this side wall, and then I very quickly moved them because I'm I like if you can see them peeking through the door, which is what I ended up doing. And then I did a thing in here, like I did in the wizard build, where you take the Spectre Sip from Paranormal and size it up and move it around to where it sits inside the cauldron, so it's all swirly and cool looking. And then I took some fireflies from Outdoor Retreat, sized them down, and made it to where the cages were just invisible, so it's just the fireflies looking like little magic sparkles hanging about above the potion. And then, true to form, I put a lot of the spellbook looking object from vampires around here. I've got one down here, there's one upstairs in the kitchen, because I love putting them in kitchens. And I hung some of the spoons from Realm of Magic on the wall. I put one up against the cauldron leaning. And then I just kind of decided what else was going to be in here. So I decided herbs, some gardening tools, and this little lion fountain that I felt maybe was where the witch washed her hands before she got into her business. Because I'd like to imagine that whoever lives here makes a business out of selling potions and maybe some produce and whatnot. And here we're just kind of cluttering stuff up with debug things from Outdoor Retreat, with those herbal, what are they called? Herbology things. I still haven't done the gameplay, y'all, but I love the little bottles so much. And I put a little bench out here, also from Outdoor Retreat. I'm kind of bummed that I waited to get it for so long, because it's got some really nice stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to be really big on the camping gameplay of it, but I do love the twisty wood furniture. The rustic stuff I might eventually use too, but that twisty wood stuff is so good. It's so good. Here we are doing the backyard. This is actually, I think, from... Maybe it's also from Outdoor Retreat. It's a hawthorn tree that has lanterns hanging in it. And the good thing with this one is you can size it down, and the light size down too, because the one from Cottage Living, when you size it up and down, it like moves the light, I think, because they're like kind of like candly. I don't know. But here I am going and deciding if I want a path to wrap around the pond, because I decided that the front of the lot, is the front of the lot. I ended up doing just like a dirt path, like a simple one. And then here I am going in with the purple bushes. I ended up doing like a combo. I used these, I think they're base game, and they worked, and I left them there, but then I end up pairing them with some of the rose bushes, the debug ones with the purple flowers from Cottage Living, because I just feel like it looked a little better, because I like these, but they're like too round, so it just kind of looks a little weird. And even when I tried to like rotate them so they weren't all facing the same way, it was like a little off. But I think I started using these. Here's where I'm going with the actual rose bushes. But I started using these other purple flowers because I was like, I used the rose bushes on that coastal witch cottage I made. But they just layer really nicely. So, that's why I did it. They're winners. I don't know if every build I make could really have this like lush landscaping, because I'm sure it's rough on the machine. It's definitely hard on my computer. But I do like the way it looks, and it fills up space well. But of course, there's also that thing where like you zoom out and they don't quite load in, so it's just like, what's all this crap that's piled on the house? And it's like, well, they were like bushes and they looked pretty, but now it's kind of like, well, oops, I tried. But it worked out well. I ended up like making them like go down into this little like nook behind the stairwell, which, to be fair, you could probably extend part of the house and put like a bathroom in there, which is what I would have done if I hadn't put the stairs where I did in this build. But I put the stairs where I did in this build, dear reader, so I could not put a bathroom there. And I kind of just went to town with like the windows. I used the Realm of Magic stained glass because I knew I wanted a lot of like floral motifs. I kind of lean towards floral motifs in real life too. There's something about a botanical print that just makes me nutty. I love it. And here we're going in with some ivy from Cottage Living. I don't know if I'll ever do a build that doesn't use Cottage Living, just because the debug is so good if you want to make something that looks overgrown and whimsical. And the floral stuff that comes with it, it's just so nice. They really popped off with that one. Here I'm putting a little picnic basket and trying to decide if I wanted to put a blanket underneath, but like none of the rugs that I could find looked blankety enough. That little round one probably could have worked. I was just really set on like something where it was like gingham, and we don't really have that. I wish we did, or maybe we do and it's just in a pack I don't have. If there's like something with a gingham rug, let me know. I looked and couldn't find one. Here we're going into the backyard, and I'm trying to decide how to make it look like this gate doesn't have like this big gap. I ended up just using debug fence pieces, and I put in more doorways to give it that elven arched look. And then I ended up making this cute little flower bed over here, and then setting it off with those things that are technically packages, but they just look like little square box. And doing a little bit more landscaping here. This is one of those things where I was like, do I want to just fill up the yard? And I was like, yeah, I really do. So I did. I just filled up the yard with a lot of plants. And here we're trying to figure out the floor plan. First things first, we got to decide where to put the stairs, because I knew that the upstairs was going to be like the shop. And I was trying to figure out where to put them, and I couldn't put them in this part because this plant, this wisteria from Debug, that I think I actually ended up sizing down and moving, was eating through the house. And I was like, well, it can't be eating through over the stairwell, because then I can't hide it. And then I think I just ended up sizing down the plant and it wouldn't have mattered. But I like where I put the stairs here. I think it worked out well. And then I ended up putting the living room area down here using, of course, the like floral wallpaper from Cottage Living. And then in the bedroom, first I had to decide on the door. I ended up not doing a door at all and just doing an archway. But I tried, and here I'm doing a thing in the bedroom where I really wanted to like try to have the bed like up super high on like this big raised platform because of how tall up the windows were, and this is like medium wall height on the first floor. And then after all of that work, I decided to not do it because it was like weird and it kept deleting the walls, and like your sim couldn't get up there, and it didn't work. She couldn't get into the bed. So I ended up making it like just like a tiny little baby platform and setting it off with spandrels, because the room was too small for me to put a double bed in there, but I was like, I want it to look kind of four-postery. So that was my solution, was to put it like up on a little platform with some pillars and some spandrels. I didn't even put curtains around it because I felt like it blocked off too much. But here's the shop area. And it took me a little bit to figure out what I wanted it to look like. I knew I wanted a counter. And, of course, I don't have a good get to work, so I don't have a cash register. I ended up using that Cottage Living computer that looks like a typewriter. And I was like, what does she sell? Probably potions. So I put lots of potions, I put some fertilizer, I put some more of the herbology things from Outdoor Retreat, and I put a shelf in here. And then I finally got to use this Blooming Rooms like greenhousey shelf, and I put some plants in here from the Blooming Rooms kit on it. I ended up putting like familiar orbs in here. It's just kind of like a planty, magical, like jack of all trades kind of store, I guess, or maybe not all trades. It's very much a plant and magic sort of trade. So you know, that's what I did. And then I had to flip the counter around. Excuse me, I'm yawning. Sorry, y'all, because the typewriter object, I wanted it to be usable, and so I had to move it so it was on the right side of the counter. And then I had to decide if I wanted to like do the thing I like to do where I try to make like the light hang off the spandrels, and then I decided against it because I didn't want spandrels going across all of this, because it would look weird, because it would like cut into the counter, and it's not what I wanted. And then I ended up taking out this shelf and putting in the menu item from Cottage Living that has the little candle on it and like the chalkboard. So I figured she could like put up like potions that are on special today. Here we're returning to the bed, where I established that, hey, it can't be up on this big platform, let's do a small one. And then I think I spent all this time putting curtains on this window, only for, now that I'm looking back and thinking on it, I think they disappeared. I think they went away. I think that they went bye-bye. I don't know if it was through any act of mine. I just think that they disappeared like through like a glitch or something. I'm also having a notification come across my phone for an Amazon delivery, so I'm checking it. So pardon me for the pauses. But I just filmed these voiceovers in one take if I can possibly help it. But now we're going in with the decorating. Lots of gallery walls. And I don't know. I feel like I use the existing gallery wall objects a lot. So a lot of my houses kind of have like the same vibe. I just like filling up wall space. I just think it's cozy. And then here I decided that I was going to put the leaf curtains in here. And here you can see I'm doing like a point of view thing to check what's going on with the view of the house itself, like in this little room since it's so small. And then this pile of books that's on top of the suitcase, it goes away eventually because I made a kitty cat and poor baby had nowhere for her litter box. So I ended up putting the litter box in that corner instead of those books. And we're using some of the Realm of Magic curtains here. And here is where I was like, okay, here's the kitchen, because I knew I wanted like that jutting out window from Cottage Living to sort of be like the sink window. And I was like so proud of myself. I was like, this is coming together. I'm going to use this cute bookshelf. It's going to go here. And then I realized there was no bathroom. So the bookshelf goes away, and that big stained glass archway, unfortunately, from Realm of Magic also goes away because it won't fit since it's a 3-tile wide door. But I made a little sitting area. There is no TV in this build because I felt like it wasn't the right kind of vibe. This seemed more of like an old-timey build. If I had the luxury, what's it called? Modern Lux kit with the frame TV, I might have tried to find a way to make that work, but I don't. So I just decided that it was a person that didn't have a TV. Maybe they're like crafty. Maybe they're too busy in the garden, because like gardening in real life, I haven't done it myself, or at least not in recent years, but my granny did it for years and years, and she was always outside. I mean, granted, Granny had a TV, but I feel like in The Sims especially, if you're taking care of a farm, you don't have time to watch TV. So maybe that's justifying it. Here's where I decided that I needed a bathroom because, yeah, your Sims need a place to pee. And I decided I didn't want to put an outhouse outside, which is kind of funny because I did almost make a cat outhouse when I realized I didn't have a place for the litter box to go. But I ended up using the vampire's tile again just because I like it since it's tile, but it's still got like an older feel to it. And then I used a cottage living sink, realm of magic, shower, and I think the Crystal Creations mirror, yeah. And then I do eventually clutter it up like a little bit. Been trying to like make bathrooms less cluttered, but also not like so minimalist to where it feels like they're an afterthought, because then I feel like it's just not fun. It doesn't fit the vibe of the rest of the build. But I put up some like little things. I used that shell from Paranormal. Here I ended up putting up the it's one of the swatches of the Vladdy Daddy portrait, but it's got that lady on it. Who she is, I don't know. Maybe like headcanon wise, she's like maybe the mom of the witch that lives here. That could be fun if you want to go with that. And then I ended up put a pedestal here, and then I ended up replacing it with like some of the Book Nook bookshelves because I was like, there's no place to read books. We can't have that. And then I realized there was a bookshelf upstairs in the shop area because I ended up moving it when I was looking for litter box space. So it all ended up working out, but that cute little cat planter on the plinth doesn't stay there very long. Here we're moving into the kitchen, and I had to like move the door around because I was like trying to get the kitchen to fit because I was like, okay, well, we need stove, we need a fridge, we need a sink, and then I wanted that sink to be centered underneath this window, gosh darn it. So I made it work, but I had to like scoot things around a little bit and then use like tool mod to like size one of the counters up a little so like it wouldn't do that clipping thing because it drives me nuts. I've seen some builds where people do stuff and they just let it clip, but I can't do it. It drives me batty. So I decided to just, size it up, the counter, which I did by, I think I sized up the counter to like 1.001 or something, so it's like just big enough to where it's not really all that different in size, but it doesn't like layer over the other one in a way where it clips, which is nice. And then I ended up putting a runner here and cluttering up the kitchen a little bit. I haven't tested the counters yet. I have tested the fridge and everything as far as that goes works. You can cook on the stove. I just need to make sure that that corner counter is enough space for you to cook. I think it is since I took that vase in the back corner, but we'll see. If not, that vase will probably have to go. And here I'm filling in this gallery wall and the back wall because I kept thinking, I was like, oh, this leads to another door, and it's like, no, it doesn't, because you have the cauldron room out there and it just like leads into the wall where you put all the brooms, and I was not about to move all those brooms because I liked how they looked. So no inside access from downstairs into the living quarters. You've got to go upstairs through the shop and get downstairs. And then I put the cauldron on the stove, and I put some objects in the little jetty out window. Sims team, if you ever watch this, my channel is small, but maybe you'll do it. Could you make it to where like the bay window objects have slots on them, or would that be weird? Is that too much to do? If the Sims team ever comes by, let me know. I wish that we could do it. If not, I'll be fine with like us alt placing things because I figured out how. And of course we have the tool mod, but it would be nice if they would slot. And here we're going through with the outback landscaping. That's what it is. Where I put some more stuff on the roof. I put some garden patches out in the backyard. So you can grow crops here. I did take one of the patches and I put some pumpkins in there just for decoration. You can take those out if you so choose. And then I'm doing a little more overgrown stuff out here. I just really wanted this place to feel lush and very like well loved. And then I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with this back path because I knew I wanted one, and I ended up going for more stepping stones just on top of some dirt, and it ended up really cute, and it wasn't as time consuming as I thought it was going to be, because like sometimes I've seen people they like put so many stepping stones, and I'm like, that's great, but that's a lot of individual placement that I don't know if I have time for, y'all. But I had time for this, and I finally got to use, I've always seen it in people's builds, but since it's older, the mesh is not great, but it's that like hanging lantern that looks kind of like a tree that I put in the back in that corner that you just saw. And here I ended up putting more bookshelves up in the shop area too. And we've got a stone bench from, I think, Get Together, because I think it's meant to be for like the ruins on the bluffs or whatever. And I put a little patch of flowers back here, and I ended up using more of the purple flowers from the roof. And then that like ballerina unlock sculpture, I don't know, I just love her. I put her in a lot of stuff. And then I decided there was too much room behind this fence now, so I put the romantic garden like flat hedge objects up against it, and then some other hedge objects up against those to fill it in. I think are these the ones I ended up using? They must be, because I didn't do anything else. Then I decided this part was also too empty, so I put in another patch of flowers to like fill in the space here, so it's kind of like the fork between the pretty purple flower stone road and the dirt road that leads around to the front of the lot. And I put some more flowers in the back, and then I know this is where I put in the pumpkins, and I might have a little bit of footage of me putting some more flowers around the front of the pond out front, but if not, then it's not there. I think maybe I don't, guys. I might just do this and then put in Patchy, and that might be about it, y'all. But thanks for checking this out. I appreciate you. We're going to head into some somatic stuff and the screenshots. I hope you loved it. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.